Welcome back to another episode of Flatten the Herd. Remember to subscribe, like and share this podcast on all platforms. Today, terra firma's Raphael, the audio lunatic, Virtue Reborn, and the internet's most banned man and international hip-hop megastar Cool B are back again to discuss the question on everybody's lips at Smoko, to jab or not to jab. This episode's special guest is Matilda Bawden, social worker and specialist support coordinator. Matilda is calling on the Morrison government to immediately clarify and affirm the rights of people with disabilities to refuse COVID vaccines and the right to quarantine themselves from service providers who have been vaccinated. You are listening to Flatten the Herd. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Right.
Here we have Matilda Bawden and Tanner. How are you going, Tanner?
Yeah, pretty good.
That's
Going
good.
well.
Going well. You got a gig on tonight?
Yeah. I'm supporting Mastercraft, Otis, Zach CR, whole lineup of some artists. So salvaging the postponed Cog show.
Oh yeah, sick. Good luck with that, brother. It should be dope.
Yeah, cheers.
So Matilda, can you tell us a little bit about your story and why you find yourself in trouble in that? Is it ABC?
Oh, I'm always finding myself in trouble.
I love it. I love it. So we're here to talk a bit about vaccines.
Well, let me rewind a little bit. I might just set the scene a little bit for you if it's okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Going back maybe a bit over a month ago, I was working with an NDIS participant, a client of mine.
Yeah.
Now, this lady has had, and she doesn't mind me speaking about her to you, so she knows that I'll be speaking to you, and she's given me consent to share her story. So she's had epilepsy, and as a result of her epilepsy medications has had liver problems, major liver problems. Liver disease, and she was supposed to be getting treatments all throughout last year. But because of the COVID lockdown and, she was put basically at the bottom of the list, and quite a few appointments were cancelled and delayed. And she's waited most of a year to just get to an appointment. So with her appointments finally imminently rolling up, she was supposed to start one of her appointments just in this last month. We became aware that one of her support workers working for an agency had just had her COVID shot. And, of course, the first thing that my client said was, gee, make sure she doesn't come anywhere near me just in case I get sick.
Yeah.
Look, my view, and she knows that I think that she is too much of a germaphobe.
There's plenty of them going around these days. Plenty of them.
Hey, look, each to their own.
We love everyone.
She is very much a germaphobe. But, if you understand her background and her life story, it would make sense. If you went through her experiences, it would make sense. But anyway, so she decided that she didn't want anybody who was vaccinated to come within cooey of her or her home or, around her family, because naturally she was afraid that if she got sick, all of those treatments would be delayed.
Yeah.
Appointments would have to be cancelled, so she'd be put at the bottom of the list for neurology, bottom of the list for the epilepsy clinic, bottom of the list for the liver clinic, and everything else that goes with it. So I sent out an urgent email to the people that I knew I was probably going to come in contact with, because obviously I'm a service provider. I'm in her home all the time.
Yeah.
And it only went to I think it went to basically 3 clients, if even that, maybe 2. And the email was basically along the lines of, if you're going to have your COVID shot, please let us know so that we can suspend our services, right? And I'm talking about those of us who are in contact with this particular client for a period of maybe 4 weeks. Of course, we were always open to changing our minds and saying, hey, today's a reasonable risk to take.
Yeah.
That's up to my client. That is up to my client. It's not up to me. And, of course, she messaged me urgently saying, please cancel all appointments. I don't want anyone coming in the house. I was trying to negotiate with her and saying, look, let's not cancel the appointments if there's no reason to. Let's not cancel therapists, occupational therapists, physiotherapists, and other people that were coming into the home to provide services if they simply did not get vaccinated and they have no, positive testing for a virus, right? So she was happy with that, and she said, okay. So she wanted me to message everybody that was likely to come in contact with her, please stop all services. So that's basically what I did. Now, my email was then subsequently shared with other parties. I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no problem with that. But the NDIS Commission has decided to take a rather malicious and nasty interpretation of what was put out for their own political reasons, I'm sure. It appears to me that the investigating officer has he may be a vaccine activist for all I know. I don't know what.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know what motivated it.
Yeah.
But long story short, the head of the Immunisation Coalition took it, I presume, to the ABC journalist. The ABC journalist rang me and said, would you like to comment on, your email? And I said, well, look, I don't even know who sent the email, under what pretenses. I don't know if you got the whole email, so I'm not going to make a comment until I know. Of course, he refused background information or to corroborate anything. And he said, so people are going to be missing out on services. And I said, well, no, they're not going to be missing out on services, because if you understand how the NDIS works, if I get a bucket of money, to go and spend somewhere, I'm the one that makes the decision about where that's spent, not someone else. My clients make the decision who they employ, what hours, different staff do, who comes and goes from the family home, who provides what services, right? So there was no reason for any of our clients to do without services. And, of course, it'd be a quick phone call to me if they felt that they needed help. Look, Matilda, can you recommend me a support coordinator? I need a support worker to help me wash dishes and do the laundry. Can you help me out? Of course I would help out.
Yeah.
Wouldn't, right? But anyway, needless to say, the journalist needed a story and needed something sensational. So, of course, he blasted on the internet that apparently people were going to be suffering without services, and it was nonsense. I mean, it could be codswallop, right?
Yeah.
I mean, anyone with half a brain could tell you that's not how NDIS works. Now, I work for myself. I don't work for an agency.
Oh, sweet.
But I'm networked with a lot of independent service providers. I also work with registered service providers as well.
Yeah.
Some of our clients have.
So are you contracted or?
Well, I work for myself independently. Everybody that I network with either works for themselves in the same way. They have their own ABN number. They work independently. They decide their own hours in terms of, employment and conditions with the client. Everybody's got a different service agreement. We don't all copy the same service agreement. For example, you might get a support worker who will only, for example, do washing dishes, laundry and cooking.
Yeah.
But then you might get other service providers who will get up on the roof and clean the gutters. They might do fix up your fence and do some backyard cleaning and also do your domestic work. Or physically, some people will not drive you to your medical appointments or Centrelink or other things that you've got to resolve. Other people will. Okay. That's all negotiated individually, right? So there was no reason for any of my clients, for anyone to even suspect that any of my clients would be going without a service. But nevertheless, you need a story, so you create one. Anyway, the story went out, and needless to say, I suspect what really happened is the journalist then probably rang the NDIS Commission for comment. And instead of informing the journalist that people with disabilities have a right to choose not to be vaccinated and not to have vaccinated staff work for them, they took the opposite interpretation of what's actually on the NDIS and the Department of Health website.
That's what they do.
And they decided to put me under investigation.
Yeah, oh my God.
Because I was a really naughty girl that I followed policy and procedure. And it's gone to the most absurd degree where you and I as taxpayers are funding for this absolute garbage.
Yeah, I know.
We know that.
Mate, there are not people out there who are being exploited financially, who are being disadvantaged, being physically abused, mentally abused, but they've got to worry about what's in a benign, ridiculous email for one particular individual. I mean, it's insane.
So
it's definitely insane.
Because I don't watch the news or anything, so I haven't seen. Congratulate me for not doing that.
Touche.
So I don't know anything that goes on. How the hell? So if I was sending an email to someone, they could just get my email and do a story about me. How did they pick you out of all this? Did you? I didn't.
Obviously, the Immunisation Coalition chairman decided that it was sensational enough that he had to make some media comment about how awful service providers like me are and what a danger we are to society, to inform people that they actually have choices.
Did I miss it? How did they even find your email?
Oh, look, now this is the interesting thing. The NDIS Commission investigators alleged, whether it was him or whether it was the ABC journalist, I'm not really sure. In the article, it is alleged that it was a client that got a copy of this email and was complaining.
Right.
But that's not true. It's actually not true. It was not a client that was complaining at all.
Yes.
Right? So can you imagine, I'm investigating you for something that you haven't actually done, but maybe you might, because I think you might.
I probably have done it.
Now, I don't know what you're supposed to do. I don't know to whom you're supposed to do it, and I don't know who is supposed to suffer the consequences. But there is no name attached. There's no client. This is a totally fictitious, hypothetical nonsense, right? Something that somebody conjured up because they needed a news story, or especially after, the terrible, tragic story of Anne-Marie Smith, and I think we've all read something about, the circumstances in her story.
I've got no idea. What's the Anne-Marie Smith?
Anne-Marie Smith, she was the disabled lady who ended up dying in her chair after she was grossly neglected. And anyway, you're going to have to look it up because I don't know all of it.
I do recall it.
Yeah. But, it was a really, really big story in the NDIS sector. I think there wouldn't be too many workers, employees in the sector that haven't heard about that case. So I suspect that, the NDIS Commission now needs scalps. And they can hold my scalp up as this rotten woman, this social worker who's abusing and neglecting her clients by giving them choices of not having staff who are vaccinated come into their personal private home. Isn't that a terrible thing?
Oh, my God.
Aren't you appalled? Am I not scaring you?
You're pretty scary.
I'm a really, really scary person, aren't I?
Scary. So obviously you've heard about the adverse effects of all this bullshit vaccine.
Well, I'm reading plenty about it, but we're not allowed to speak about those things.
Yeah, bloody hell, I'll talk about what I want. If we get kicked off, then we get kicked off. We'll start a new podcast and we'll start fresh. But I've heard that say a wife is laying in bed, she's been vaccinated, and a husband that's laying in bed next to her, he's just waking up with random bruises on him now.
Yeah, I've read that too.
Yeah, just weird shit.
I know.
So I'm thinking, I'm scared because my mum got vaxxed. After all the warnings I gave, she just didn't give a fuck because she works with in an old folks home. So they were anyone want a free vaccine? Yeah. And they're like, the sheeple, I'll take a vaccine. That sounds like part of society.
Oh, mate. My mum, she goes to a Serbian social group with the church every Thursday, and every single Thursday for countless months, I cannot tell you how many months, the federal government has been getting the organisers to hand out to every person that attends this social club a 32-page colour booklet telling them all about the vaccine and pitching. Now, can you imagine what we're paying for this? We are paying hand over fist for this booklet. Now, if you were to assume 32 pages at just 5 cents a copy, and it's more than that, right? 5 cents a copy per page every single week. And this is going to every social group, every, aged care home, nursing homes, you name it. And it's going in multiple languages, right? I mean, to me, that is staggering. It is staggering. But the thing is, we are, as they said in that event, is it 201, that they were going to flood the zone. They have literally flooded the zone. So I went online some weeks back in response to the media release, which I put out, and I probably would have scoured most of 1,000 different service providers all across the country, not just in South Australia, but interstate as well. And the first thing that comes up in every single one of those websites was, where to get your vax and COVID testing and this and that, the next. But there's nothing to even caution, not even a little caution.
Oh.
You might want to think about, doing your research about the safety of vaccines or, the side effects of vaccines or transmission or whatever. There's nothing in these websites. So you're bombarded. And this is what people with disabilities and the staff, it is not just the people with disabilities, it is the staff as well, who are just getting pummeled with this stuff.
Are you working with people that can't really think for themselves like that?
Well, there are some. I do work with some brain-injured clients, but the ones that I'm working with, because I'm not an agency, I don't pick up the really severely disabled people. So I'm still working with people with brain injury who can still make choices for themselves, right?
And do you give them advice because they're not like quite clued on to what's going on? Or?
Personally, I do not.
No.
I do not, because I don't want to put myself at risk of offering the wrong advice. However, if a client asks me, should I or shouldn't I will direct them to, a website, government websites. I might also direct them to, talk shows, videos, whatever it is online, if they have access to that stuff, if they ask me for it. And other staff might want to talk to them. Look, my daughter had a vaccine and, she had a rash. My father had a vaccine, but he was perfectly fine. It's horses for courses. I am not anti-vax. My kids were totally vaxxed. I was vaxxed for everything except whooping cough, which incidentally I did catch. Had I been vaxxed for the whooping cough, I may not have had it. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not anti-vax either. I'm anti this vax. But
I'm anti-stupidity. I'm anti-coercion.
Yeah, same with me. Every time I post something on Facebook like about vaccines, and then everyone just thinks I'm anti-vax, and my mum always comments, you had all the vaccines when you were younger. I'm like, well, that's not the same. It's not the same as this fucking thing, mate. And then I remember, like, when I was 2 years old, I mean, I don't remember it, but I got I nearly died in hospital with bronchitis, pneumonia, and something else. And that probably came just after one of my vaccines, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
It probably would have. As a 2-year-old, I would have got a vaccine.
Probably.
And I nearly died, but I've never hit my mum up saying,
I know.
Probably nearly killed me, mum.
My daughter turned blue. She stopped breathing and turned blue after the MMR within 24, 48 hours.
Yeah.
It was a shocker. It was the most frightening experience of my life. Now, at the time, the doctors basically said I was neurotic and, we see this thing all the time. Well, you might see it all the time when you're working in ER, but I don't.
Yeah.
And seizures, epilepsy doesn't run in my family at all, right? Yeah. So I'm sorry, but my child was perfectly healthy and normal one day and then on her deathbed the next. But having said that, I'm not going to go out there telling people don't vax your child for MMR. There are actually, apparently, from what I've learned, there are safer ways to still administer those shots to your child, but maybe not 3 in one hit. And also, giving them high-dose vitamin C. And there are precautions you can take. A lot of people will also say, and then I don't want anybody listening to this podcast to take anything that I'm saying as medical advice or whatever, but if it was me doing it all over again, if I had my time all over again, I would give my child a double dose of Panadol before it happens and after it happens. They're saying, don't give any Panadols or whatever, just let's see what the natural reaction. By then, the child's brain is burning. It's boiling. It's cooking, So there were lots of precautions. Had I known about them, I could have taken to minimise the risk, But, look, I don't profess one way or another that I know anything much about vaccines at all. And I certainly don't give vaccine advice to my clients.
Yeah.
But I will obey their instructions when they tell me they don't want somebody who's vaxxed coming into their home.
Cool, fair enough. That's fair enough. I don't know, man. I just think if they're offering you donuts like in America, it's not too hectic in Australia, but you see what's going on in America. All right, you get free donuts, you get free beer, you get free that if you get a vaccine. Now they're offering.
That's how light that decision is. That's how easy you can make it.
Now they're offering like a prize pool.
Trial.
It's like $1 million if you get the vaccine. They're doing like a lottery.
Really?
Yeah. If you got to go to that drastic measures to get people to take,
I know.
can't you see that Big Pharma runs everything, and this is all to benefit Big Pharma?
That's right. That's
no,
right.
you can't see that. Fucking hell, people are just my head in.
So much for informed consent that if we all were given that same sort of incentive to get married or buy a car or a house or make other big life-changing decisions. I mean, seriously, it just makes the whole experience so meaningless.
No, I'm
so
not.
Trivial.
So I'm gathering that you're not going to get the vaccine. What about you, Tanner?
No, I'm not planning to get it anytime soon.
Yeah. I can't hold in my information that well, but I've been spent the last year and a half, or year since COVID started, listening to podcasts of doctors and whistleblowers that come out and talk about it and tell us what's in the vaccines, the mRNA, DNA altering shit that's inside of it.
Yeah.
And just no one questions it.
Pretty much.
Yep. But just before I forget, yesterday I got an email, sort of the other day, from the NDIS Commission, and now what they want me to do is to withdraw my original email, apologise and tell everybody that I've been a naughty little girl, and to clarify the situation and issue a correction about what I really meant, which means what they really want me to say.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Will they give you something that they want you to say? Is that what
No. Oh, it's basically along the lines of, that I will not suspend services and I will not do this and I will not do that. Well, it's my prerogative. They don't get to say. It's my client's prerogative. They don't get to say.
You're a punk rocker. I love it.
I'm just sick of these people who think they can go around and bully everybody, No. And look, I'm not with a registered provider, so I'm an easy target. I'm an easy target. I don't have the backing of an agency behind me. But all I did was comply with their own policies and procedures on their website. Go there, log in. Yeah. I can finish. I think you've got the links in the
you sent me that.
in the news release.
I'll put that to the title of our podcast. I'll include the link so people can look at it.
Thank you. Yeah. But it's just absurd that on the one hand, the NDIS says clients have choice and control and you can choose not to be vaccinated, but then if you dare to choose not to have vaccinated staff in your home, we will punish the staff who dare not to turn up.
Welcome to 2021.
Investigation.
Welcome to 2021. We're in the future.
I know.
I don't like the future.
It's so dystopian, isn't it? It's so dystopian.
Yeah, that's what they're going towards. I think they're going. I don't know how if you're into conspiracies or anything like that, but I get deep into everything. So I think they're going into. I don't know if you've heard of transhumanism.
Look, I've seen and read quite a bit about it, and look, I know that a lot of people will say that's conspiracy theory stuff, but the technology is already there.
You can see it.
Anyone who cares to look at it, anyone that looks at it, the technology is already there.
This thing here, the phone, that's the biggest thing. It's a massive network they're setting up that's gonna.
That's right.
Then I reckon in about 2060, it's gonna be a crazy world we're living in. Everyone, all the vaxxed are all dead or they've turned to zombies. And we might be still fighting the zombie war in 2060.
Hey, I'll be 56 or something like that. So I'll just be kicking it, hopefully.
I'll take a chance of shaking hands and, like we did with measles when we were kids, go and mix with the kids with measles and catch the measles. I'll take the chance with COVID. I'll cure myself. Yeah. I'll lock down for 2 weeks or a month or whatever I'm required to, and I'll be fine. Yeah,
I've been listening because, on TV they don't tell you, go out and eat better, do exercise. They haven't said one thing like that in a year.
Yeah.
So all the doctors I've been listening to on podcasts, they've been saying, all right, go out, get vitamin B, C, D, and zinc.
That's right, it's all wiped out, isn't it? I know.
Yeah, and they had a massive campaign against vitamin D in America.
Yeah, that's right.
Demonising, oh no, you can't just take vitamin D. But I haven't had a cold.
Yeah.
Like in the worst pandemic in history, and I haven't even had a cold.
I know, same.
Yeah, same.
But look, I mentioned to you that I had whooping cough. This is back in 2010. Needless to say, it was horrific. It was easily the worst thing that I'd gone through.
Really?
And sometime before that, my daughter had swine flu. She was one of very few. Yeah, and my daughter's an opera singer, and she actually had 8 concerts lined up. She had to cancel 7 of them and barely pulled through on stage for the 8th concert.
Oh,
She barely pulled through.
Was that in Japan or China?
No, that was here. That was here.
Oh, was it here? But the China,
here in Adelaide.
Swine flu came from China, didn't it?
Oh, I believe so. I think so.
You got it here.
Yeah. And you see, my daughter was the only one. She took a flight from Sydney to Adelaide, and when we reconstructed the events, we suspect that was the flight that she caught where she had the swine flu, because nobody else in our immediate networks, no one that we know, even people that came in contact with her, didn't catch it, right? And mind you, we did quarantine her, and we did quarantine everyone. We told everyone to stay away from the house once she was diagnosed. But she had it so severely that I honestly didn't think she was going to pull through. That was a shocker.
Yeah.
That was a shocker. But anyway, thankfully she survived that too.
How long did that last?
That was in 2009, and she was sick for a solid 3 weeks. I mean, it took a month of recovery after that, but 3 weeks where she was just bedridden.
Yeah, hectic.
Couldn't function, and the concerts had to be cancelled.
And she was the lead. She's the
artist, I know.
I mean, letting everyone down.
Fortunately, she did have other performers on stage that they managed to pull off the concert as best as they could, and they rejigged some acts and stuff like that. But, by golly, there was so much marketing and publicity that went into it, and then 7 had to be cancelled. It's like, yeah, not something you would do unless you were on your deathbed.
Yeah. So, Dr. Code was going to try and join us, but what's his name? He doesn't want us using his name, but you're aware of Dr.
Yes,
Code.
I know.
But, he wanted me to ask you about Pam Popper, Make America Great Again or something.
Pam Popper?
Yeah.
Remind me.
I don't know. He goes, mention Pam Popper, Make America Great Again. She has a great legal team challenging the pandemic. They're litigation.
Oh, right. Okay. I haven't caught up with all of the news around that.
Oh, really?
I'm lagging behind because I've been so caught up with all this nonsense with the NDIS Commission.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I haven't been keeping abreast of all the latest developments. But
oh, nice. Well, he was no help then, was he? So you're not going to go. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if you're going to go to court or.
Oh, look, I'm sure that they want to, scalp me and hold up my scalp and say, here's a really, really rotten service provider, and didn't we save the world from this horrible wicked woman?
Yeah.
And you should be grateful to us. And we need more funding to get more people like that. More money, resources. We're understaffed and under-resourced. And look at all the people we could be saving.
Yeah. The news has done it again. The news has saved the day again. Yeah.
I know. You would think that there would be far more wretched people than myself. And incidentally, can I just say, my client is deeply distressed about the NDIS Commission being involved in this and creating this storm over nothing, absolutely nothing. So my client adores me. I mean, I can send you text messages of things that she writes to me where she absolutely adores me.
You sound like a very lovely lady.
She is a lovely lady. I mean,
you are.
But like seriously, I mean, I do love my clients, and I mean that in not an inappropriate kind of fashion. I mean, I am attached to my clients insofar as I do deeply care for them, and I would never leave someone without services, even if I had to provide them for free, But the imputation of this investigation is that, I would neglect my clients' needs. That's never happened, and it never would.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the amount of free time I offer my clients, and my clients can probably tell you that themselves, I'm not sitting there watching the clock going, okay, 10 o'clock, time to knock off. If I have to put in an extra half hour, I'll put it in and I don't get paid,
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way I work, and that's why I have good clients, and that's why they stick with me for 2, 3, 4 years at a stretch,
How long have you been doing it for?
Oh, geez, I think now, well, myself alone, about 3 years, but I've been working with other service providers who do what I do for longer than that. I've been giving them work.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah.
Tana, have you got any questions you want to ask?
No, I'm pretty caught up. I've just been listening to everything she's had to say so far.
It's very interesting. So my sister, I think my sister's in the same field of work as you are, Matilda. She's just started her own company. She's got like 12 people that work for her now. She looks after, I don't know what type of people they are. They're people that can't look after themselves. And she has sleepovers and shit like that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah. My auntie's actually similar. She works in a dementia ward. So, yeah.
So does my mum.
Oh, okay, true, yeah.
Oh, well, you'll have to connect me with her. Maybe we can share some resources or...
yeah, for sure.
Definitely,
She's down Victor Harbour.
Lovely. That's lovely.
So she loves it. Like, God, it's got like people in, like, I don't know how to describe the people, but they're in wheelchairs and they can't talk or do anything. But my sister loves it, loves being around them. So you got to try and look after those people as much as you can because, okay.
Absolutely. But, at the end of the day, for those of us who are working in this industry, our clients are our bread and butter. I mean, if I mess around with my clients and I don't give them what they need, or if I neglect their needs or whatever, I'm in and out the door. That's it. Goodbye. You're gone. They'll get another service provider in right behind you, There's no shortage of people wanting to work in the industry. So the ones that survive are the ones that provide the best service, maybe the most affordable service, and over and above what they pay for, I mean, like, for example, my clients can tell you, if I'm in the shops, and the other week I just popped into Bunnings and I thought, this client hasn't got sink plugs for her kitchen sink. I think I'll pick up a couple. I don't charge her for that. I'm happy to pick it up because I know she's gone without a sink plug for months. Do you know what I mean?
You might be able to go get me one.
It's I guess my point is that it's those little things that, if you care about your clients, like my daughter, for example, she works with some of our clients. And the thing that I really love about the fact that she loves these clients so much, when she takes them to physio, it's not just the physio in that hour session. It is also then following it up and saying, okay, now we're going to be exercising throughout the week. So she's restructured the whole week to fit in the physiotherapy exercises that have to be done. And so she monitors that they do their exercises, Nobody's going to know if those exercises are done or not. Do you know what I mean?
Fully.
Yeah.
But we can see the improvement when you can see your client's hip is suddenly shifted 45 degrees, and suddenly the hip is back into alignment. I mean, these are not the sort of things that people like us, who apparently we neglect and abuse our clients. Do you know what I mean? To me, it's just staggering.
Do you think that if any of your clients or anyone in general gets affected by the vaccine, that will get reimbursed for anything?
Not a thing. But, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's quite, I think, upsetting. I don't mean from my personal perspective. I'm offended. I am incensed that my reputation has been impugned because anybody who works with me knows I value my reputation. Yeah. And if you're going to accuse me of doing something that I didn't do, honey, you're going to have a fight on your hands.
Good.
I mean, if you're going to accuse me of something, at least accuse me of something I did do, and that is I gave my client choices.
Yeah. So it's turned out to a massive thing. Fucking hell. That's crazy.
I think I even heard about this subject on the radio today. I'm the same. I don't watch the news, but in the car I listen to a bit of radio at work, so I hear a bit of, news here and there. And, they were definitely talking about this subject on the radio today. So it's a hot topic at the moment.
Well, I suspect it won't be long. Call me tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist, but I suspect it won't be long before it'll be no jab, no play, no jab, no pay, and no jab, no NDIS package.
I was saying that when the virus first came out, before even any vaccines and shit was, and then a year later, it's happening, and no one can remember me saying it to them.
That's right. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. Even back in March last year, I had a whole bunch of people, especially like high professionals in the industry, going, oh, there are not going to be any human trials. They started on the 14th of March and we're in June now.
Yeah. And so that's only 1 month in. We got to see like 5 years down the track, see what's happening then.
I know. Oh, we're not going to have vaccine passports. That will never happen.
Yeah,
right?
I know, yeah.
Oh, no, there won't be any no jab, no NDIS package. Okay, sure. Tell me that in a month's time.
After everything that we've said and it's come true, we say it 6 months before it happens.
I know.
6 months before it happens, and they still don't believe us.
I know.
But
I know.
people, I've noticed people are like goldfish. You know, obviously what they do works because 6 months after a huge news report about something, people just forget about it.
Yeah,
it's like it never even happened.
And that's why the news cycle just. All right, quick, smash everyone for about 2 or 3 weeks with a massive story. Then quick, after that, another one. They change it up. They change it up so people forget about the...
Have you noticed how that now... I think people are probably getting COVID fatigue. So now they're talking about long COVID or post-COVID, which, of course, doesn't exist. There's no scientific report to say it exists, but you've got to manufacture something just to keep people very scared.
Yeah, it came from a bat, remember? The bat was just down the road from the Wuhan lab. It was just down the road. It wasn't the lab. I heard something. There was an earthquake. I don't know if this was for SARS or COVID, but there was an earthquake around the facilities where they do all the virology, and that's what let the virus out. I can't remember if it was for the SARS virus or for this virus, but that's quite possible for anything. Like, all it takes is they think they're secure premises, but what happens if an earthquake, like Chernobyl or whatever?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you're fucked.
But why would you go creating these things? Why would you be doing gain of function research? Why would you even conceive of creating something that could be more virulent than anything that has ever been put into a human body? Yeah. I mean, like, seriously, unless you're using it as a bioweapon, unless you want to depopulate people, unless you want serious death and destruction, why would you be doing it?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I've watched and read numerous articles about this, and the main head scientist that tests bat diseases in the Wuhan laboratory, she ended up coming out and admitting that they've been using the virus found in the mines back in the day. Probably, I forget the year they were found, but when the 3 miners were working in the mines and they first got sick, it was actually traced back to the bat droppings in the cave. And they ended up collecting samples, and they ended up using this, I can't remember the name of the process, but what they do is they pretty much give animals the virus over and over and over and over again, and it speeds up pretty much evolution, and it speeds the virus up, and the virus grows and grows and grows within these animals.
Yeah.
Can you imagine you and I doing something like that? I mean, it's like if we were engaged in that kind of so-called research, I mean, seriously.
Apparently,
but these people get away with it.
Apparently,
thank God.
Man-made viruses are harder to combat than natural viruses as well.
Yeah.
So just chill. We've got our immune system for a reason. We're all in. Our bodies are in tune with Mother Nature and the whole planet. We have leaves to. All right, you got a cold, here, take this leaf. You got a virus, here, take this berry or some shit.
Yeah.
We are designed to be at one with Earth, and so they're trying to get us away from nature and onto the big pharma medical system, relying on them.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that, because with all of the health problems that my daughter had developed from being sick over the years, I mean, obviously it started when she had her MMR and then, had convulsions and all sorts of things. But, she's had health problems throughout her life. And although the doctors have said, take this medication and take that medication, she's refused to do it all. She's only ever trialled maybe 1 or 2 for any length of time just to see if it makes a difference. But generally speaking, she's going all natural, and she's get better results just taking vitamins and minerals and supplements.
I believe that.
Than any of the other crap that they could possibly pump into her,
But why would the big pharmaceutical companies want to make us healthier?
That's right.
Then that would keep them out of business.
That's right.
They make money off of us being sick.
Well, things like cholesterol, run in my family. Look, I know my doctor's been on my back about my cholesterol, which is hereditary. Everyone in my family has it. My dad decided he was not going to take the cholesterol medications towards the end, and he had a stroke. Okay, it may very well have, resulted in a stroke because he didn't take his medications.
Yeah.
But he decided in the end he was just going to rid himself of all the medications he was put on and just eat healthy and take his chances. I'm happy to take my chances.
Well, life's not that scary.
Oh, well, look, sure, you could die of cholesterol, you could die of heart attack, heart disease, who knows, any number of things. But at the same time, I sort of figure, well, there are side effects to all of these medications. I end up with kidney disease or liver disease or heart problems. So I'm fixing one problem for what?
Yeah.
Create another.
And they're not liable for any damage. Any vaccine company are not liable for any damage. What does that say? If you're selling a product and it could kill you, you can't sue them because, it's not our fault. What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Oh my God. How can you not sue the person that made the drug? It's like suing someone, like if you fall off of a playground. Someone built the playground, I fell off it, I can sue you, all right, give me my money. But when putting something into your body, like important, like a vaccine or anything like that, and you can't sue them.
That's right.
It's just
But you
crazy.
see, the other thing is also, with the work that we're doing, even if our clients cannot sue, let's say, the drug companies, although the jury's out on that, apparently you still can. But it doesn't mean that I'm immune from being sued. If I recommend someone take a vaccine,
You'll get sued. They'll sue anyone they can.
So why would I stick my neck out and say, hey, run off and go get your COVID shot?
Yeah.
Run off and get your flu shot. Run off and get vaxxed for measles or whatever. Forget it. I mean, I'm not going to stick my neck out and, get myself sued because somebody's had an adverse reaction.
Yeah, no.
But, the government wants you to do it.
My missus just had a cold and she went to the doctor and they were like, oh, you got to go to the COVID testing station. Go get tested. And she's like, ABC. And she came straight on. She messaged me, do I have to go? I'm like, no, shorty, you don't have to do fuck all. Just come home. So she didn't go get tested. And then on the same day, there was like 7,000 people getting tested. Because there's a couple breakouts. It's all fake though anyway, because we all have the coronavirus in our bodies anyway.
Well, in regards to the ABC story, I don't know if you actually read the original ABC story, but one of the things that Rod Pierce, the chairman and CEO of the Immunisation Coalition, claimed that there's no such thing as shedding in Australia because the vaccines don't contain the live virus, right?
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because someone pointed out to me my grievous error in my email was that I made reference to shedding when I really should have used the word transmission, which incidentally, so does the Department of Health website. It makes reference to transmission. So just because you get a shot doesn't mean you can't pass some kind of pathogen onto somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Have you heard they're putting in, you never know what to take is legit or not, but they're putting in, 14-week-old aborted fetal tissues.
Oh, I've read about that stuff. You just don't know what's got what in it. Yeah. Forget the heavy metals and all the chemicals and, the poison and whatever else. But the whole idea that it could contain human fetal tissue, to me, is just disgusting.
That automatically says...
That's a deal breaker.
Alters your DNA. That joins someone else's DNA to yours, so you're not you anymore.
Yeah.
Right. That is just hideously grotesque.
I saw a video, like it was in China or something. It was pretty hectic. And there was just all these dead babies in a trough and they were washing them off and cleaning them, and it said they were getting them ready for the vaccine to chop them up and it's fucking hectic.
It's just messed up.
But, so yeah, I don't know. And we might be going through a lockdown now because I heard some people from Victoria, because the lockdown in Victoria at the moment.
I'm sorry, but I reckon what a load of nonsense.
Yeah, they're only doing it because I read something that there's a law that goes to, what is it? it gives us, I don't know, one of our laws that makes us free or some shit.
Yeah.
And it ends now, so they're making us scared so they can make that law continue. No, it's.
I heard today that they're actually, because that law's run, they're actually looking to pass a law in our health system to kind of force everyone to get the vaccine, but I don't know how they're going to go about it, you know what I mean? But yeah.
That is so messed up.
Apparently South Australia is the least amount of people that are going for the vaccine.
I find it very interesting, obviously with the music side of things in my life. I talk to people all over the place, Melbourne, Victoria, Perth, and just the differences and restrictions and rules. It's crazy. I talked to someone in Melbourne the other day and they reckon the QR code thing is barely a thing over there. They go, you get in it's only in taxis, and even then the taxi drivers don't ever care,
So why
and then you go here and everyone freaks out and everyone's staring at you until you do it or pull your phone out. It's just crazy.
I'm just curious to know, has anybody noticed, my daughter had an experience yesterday when she went to the Port Adelaide Centrelink office, and apparently they didn't have a QR code, and the reason they didn't have the QR code is because it's a government-funded entity, obviously taxpayer-funded. It's a government department. But once the client walked in, my daughter and the client walked in, they had to produce their Medicare card and a healthcare card or a driver's license, proof of ID, and that was noted as if it was the QR check-in. I'm just wondering if that's not their backdoor method of getting around the privacy legislation with the QR codes. I don't know. I don't know. I'm only getting this secondhand, but I think it'd be curious to find out.
Yeah, we're just crazy conspiracy theorists. This is what I was saying. There's this thing I got sent is June is going to be wild. 4th of June.
Yes, I read that one.
2021 Victoria, 17th
it's brilliant.
Yeah, 20 federal, 29th of June, 21 Queensland. All above dates are when the Human Biosecurity Emergency Period under the Biosecurity Act of 2015 expires. Yep. The only way they can extend it, and how they keep extending it, is to create another scare campaign to keep you in fear, so you won't join the dots and look. And like clockwork, we suddenly hear a few cases in Melbourne.
That's right. You can set your watch by it.
And I've said this to someone over the last few days. I've connected the recent cases at the football. You know what I mean? I've noticed at the football, at a lot of the games they've opened up for fans, you got people sitting. There's no chairs in between. No one's wearing masks. Stuff like that. Even the tennis. I saw a few people protesting when they allowed the tennis to continue, and everyone was just crammed into the stadium, no precautions taken. But suddenly when it becomes something they can distract you with, like sport, it's just not there to be seen. But you go to the shop and it's like you got fucking laser beams and cameras staring at you, and
Yeah, my daughter put on her Facebook profile some weeks back that she's going to have a policy that she will not perform in public wherever anyone has to check in. And if that means there's, not much of a career, then, that's what it is.
And that's how we win. That's how we win.
She's not going to perform anywhere in public where anybody has to check in or scan in or leave a fingerprint or sign in. Forget it. It ain't going to happen. But and the analogy that she used was that Angela Georgiou, a famous opera singer, back in the day, she said in one of her interviews that she felt she had a late start to her career because she lived under the communist regime of in Romania, Ceausescu's regime. And that's why she had a late start to her career. Well, Grace has decided, if her career is not going to take off anytime soon, so be it. It is what it is.
Yeah, there's more important things.
We're disengaging from this garbage.
Your daughter sounds like a legend. She's also punk rock.
Well, actually, you know what? She's probably boned me up. She's probably given me a spine where maybe I was a little bit uncertain myself. But,
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not easily scared or intimidated about anything much at all. But she's more gutsy than I am.
Oh, I wish I could do the same to my mum. My mum is like any reason to conform, she'll do it. That's been great. You got any more questions, Tanner?
No, not at the moment. Pretty caught up.
Well, I think that's been awesome, Matilda. Have you got everything out you wanted to let out?
I think, you know, what I really, really would love to do is connect with other service providers who are facing the same challenges.
Yeah.
Now, I've got on Telegram, I've set up a Matt and Em's news group. I had one on Facebook, but I'm moving away from Facebook.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've transferred that group over to Telegram. So if people want to connect with me or share their stories, or if there are service providers or clients similarly being threatened or harassed, you know, hit me up, because we can work together. And I'm in for a penny, in for a pound, but I'm not going to be bullied by these stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
Speaking of Telegram, there's another thing that I'm on. It's like Facebook, but it's free speech, and it's just like all like-minded people like us just sharing information. And it's exactly like Facebook, but it's free speech, and it's called Float. It's FLOTE.
Okay.
So you can go there, and you can go there, sign up, and then you can transfer all of your Facebook data, like your photos and everything.
Oh, really?
Onto there. So it's exactly like Facebook, but it's just, and the people who invented it, they talk to you.
Sweet.
Yeah, this chick, Erin and her dude, they communicate with you. Yeah, so,
what do you think? I had a Facebook profile where I hit nearly, I think it was like 4,998 people. I was nearly at the 5,000 mark.
Yeah.
For years. And it used to be the case 2 or 3 years ago, I would get thousands of people sharing my posts, thousands of people, you know, commenting, engaging with me, and then Facebook completely deleted the whole thing. My entire account got scrubbed because I dared to share a George Christensen post on vaccines.
Oh, I'm trying for them to delete my thing. I just came off a 30-day ban, and then like 5 days later I got another 30-day ban.
Oh, we can't have free thinkers like you going.
That ain't going to happen. That ain't going to further their agenda.
I've just gotten to my first 30-day ban on my new Facebook account. So, my old one's one strike away from disappearing itself. So,
welcome to the family.
What's that?
Welcome to the family.
Yeah, well, thank you. Kiss the ring.
So Raphael's decided to join us just when we're about to hang up.
Oi.
I thought I'd press the button and see what happened.
The big red one.
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Late.
Are you able to talk, Raph?
Yeah, I'm free agent now.
Are you going to go a bit longer, Matilda?
Yeah, sure.
Because Raphael knows heaps about vaccines, and he'd be a good dude for you to talk to.
Only problem is I have no idea what you guys have already touched on.
Yeah. Well, we've touched on about everything.
You'd like that, wouldn't you?
Ask Matilda a question that you wanted. We were talking about, because she had a case. I don't know if I sent you did you read the manuscript or whatever of the article that was in? So, Matilda, do you want to just give Raph a quick rundown?
30 seconds or less.
Please.
I work in the NDIS space as a support coordinator. I also do some support work. You know, I usually relieve my colleagues if they're sick or something happens. But anyway, my client specifically on one particular occasion asked not to have any staff that have been vaccinated to come into her home because she had been taken off a treatment plan for her liver disease and a whole bunch of other issues. And she during the COVID lockdowns, she missed out on a lot of medical treatments. And so 1 year on, she finally got all these appointments queued up, all in close succession. And the last thing that she wanted was to catch something from somebody and then get sick and then miss out on all the treatments. So I sent out an email on her request, and I've got text messages to prove the exchanges between us, where she says, please tell everybody, cancel all my services, tell everybody to stay away and not to come to my house and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I sent an email basically to everybody that is likely to come in contact with my client or myself, that we would be suspending the services for, maybe possibly 30 days. That was not a hard and fast rule. That was just a crude guesstimate. Mm-hmm. While these appointments were queued up with the hospital, and I got investigated by the NDIS Commission over that email. Seriously.
I'm not surprised.
It's just benign. There's nothing in my email. There was nothing controversial in my email at all. It's so stupid. It's so lame. But, we as taxpayers are paying for me to be investigated now.
Yeah, look, my mum's a doctor, and the amount of horror stories that I hear from her colleagues in very similar ways, it's scary. It's like Gestapo's type thing.
It is Gestapo. It is.
To give you an idea of an example how ridiculous it can get to, mum's got a friend in Perth, doctor. Now, her nurse asked her opinion on the flu shot for her kid. Now, that's the nurse specifically going out of her way. Can you please give me your opinion on this? Since we are work colleagues and I'm going to get an honest opinion from you. She turned around and she goes, if it was me, I wouldn't take it. That's all she said. She was reported for that. She got investigated on it. And not only that, now she has to deal with patients with a minder. So she's allowed to practice as long as she's got someone next to her to make sure she's doing the right thing. Oh. Now, how much confidence are you going to have in a doctor when he's got to have someone that's watching over him?
Raphael, this is what I was saying earlier on in our discussion, and that is they need my scalp to hold up as the really bad service provider that is such a risk and a threat. I'm such an horrible, horrible person that I would risk the safety and, the care needs of my clients. I'd leave them vulnerable. So they need my scalp to hold up as an example to all others.
I know what that's like. They do that to my mum all the time. So, yeah, but yep. I feel for you and I can empathise with you because, I know exactly what you're going through. It's a scary world.
I think, the more people like me, and I don't want to hold myself up as being any martyr or anything of the type. I'm hardly a person who can lead a campaign against the likes of the NDIS Commission. But that's not my mission here. My mission is simply to assert the rights of this one particular woman on this one particular occasion to have her wishes respected. She had a right.
Look, to give you an idea, I was watching something today on a new definition of an anti-vax. And this to me was scary. One of the definitions that they said is anyone that is against mandatory vaccinations is now considered an anti-vax.
Okay.
But it was a part of the Webster's Dictionary. I can't remember the first prefix, but it was one of the Webster's Dictionary lines specifically says that now.
Anyone who questions the efficacy and safety of the vaccines is
no, that was the case long before COVID. But now if you're just against mandatory vaccination, so they've upgraded.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is, you're 100% right, and that's the way it's always been. And now with COVID, when it come out, it made basically the whole world anti-vax by that definition. Well, it's like, hold on, are you questioning the vaccine? Oh, you're an anti-vax.
Yeah, no, man.
It's just a horrible derogatory term that they use so they don't have to make a conversation about it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
But not only that, like you think about it this way, you go to cancer wards, and one of the things you see on there is if you've just been recently vaccinated with the MMR, don't come in here.
Yeah, that's right.
Why is that? Because they'll shed the virus.
Raphael, I pointed out that on the NDIS website, number one, they emphasise that clients still have choice and control. It's still voluntary to take a vax. But then when you follow their links, it takes you to the Department of Health website, which says still take all of the COVID safe precautions. right? That's all my email set out to do. Nothing more, nothing less. Raphael, if you read my email, you would laugh. You would go, are you for real? Like, taxpayers are now paying for me to be investigated. Can you imagine how many thousands and thousands of dollars of taxpayer resources are being sucked up investigating one bleeding email? Right? Like, there are not vulnerable clients out there who are being abused or neglected or not being fed properly, not being cared for, who have got bed sores and people.
But they're okay with vaccination, so you can let that under the rug. It's okay. It's horrible. Look, and I know what you mean, because they literally do the exact same thing with the medicine. With the medicine industry. Doctors, I mean, I find hilarious that one of the biggest arguments people make, oh, just go talk to your doctor and they'll tell you. But what they don't understand is that by law, regulation in Australia, the doctor's not allowed to question the system.
Exactly. Oh, really? By law?
It's like, oh, dude, it's regulation. They're not allowed to. That's what I was just saying before in regards to that. The nurse, when she asked the doctor, boss, what's her opinion? When I was at the front desk at my work, now, I literally received an email from the AMA telling all receptionists and nurses to dob in anyone in the clinic that gives you the impression that they're against something in the vaccine. Not even any proof.
So that's right. I mean, we've got to have all these little capos positioned in strategic places, you know, to make sure that people like me and like yourselves are punished appropriately. You know?
It is. It's horrible, you know, like, and look, from my end of the scale, vaccines is just one side of
of a myriad.
The battle that I see, but anything that's alternative and against the accepted norm is not only demonized, but it's penalized if you do if you go along that line.
A lot of people wouldn't know this. I used to work as an auditor with the Department of Health way back in the day. This is a long time ago in the Disability Services Program. And this is early days of the Disability Services Act 1986, when we were obviously starting to implement systems throughout all of the agencies across the state and across the country to make sure that people with disabilities were respected, that their needs were being met and so on. And that was around about the time when places like Rurua Nursing Home, I don't know if any of you might even remember or have heard of Rurua Nursing Home, they eventually shut down. I mean, you remember the deep sleep therapy that was carried out in Chelmsford back in the late 70s, early 80s. There was a Royal Commission on it, you know. The people that were involved in that were, if I'm not mistaken, were sued. Anyway, this is a long time ago. But we're going to go back to those days. You wait and see. People like our clients, people with disabilities are going to become cannon fodder for the medical industry. You know, before too long, there will not be the right to choose, not to be sterilised or not to have a particular treatment done on you, because it'll be perfect.
Actually, what's the law now with in the old people's home? I understand that the staff have to be vaccinated. Is that also the law with the residents? Do you know?
I don't believe it's the law, but I think that's exactly what's going on by coercion.
Oh no, it's actually it's now law. It's 100%.
My mum doesn't. She's in old people's home. She got the vaccine, but
I know. I guess my point is, what is actually the law? And I'm going to hedge a bet that there is no law. It's like somebody said before. I think it was one of the speakers at one of the last rallies said it's an edict that somebody just makes.
Look, I think you're right. It's similar to the childcare, the childcare one. They give you the narrative that it's 100% law, but as an example, I managed to find one where my kid doesn't have to be vaccinated. It's obviously not 100%.
But you know, if we follow these edicts, it becomes what's called grey letter law. And it's not actually a law, but everybody follows it, and everybody says, it's the law. It's the law, but nobody can prove it. It doesn't exist.
Look, you hit the nail on the head. As an example, my brother's studying law at the moment, and he's always arguing with my mum in regards to when APRA's decides to jump on something new. And it's like, you know what? All that is a tribunal.
That's right.
They can say whatever they want.
That's right.
And if they decide to take away your license, if you let them, yeah, cool, they will.
Yeah.
But you can appeal that in the actual court of law, where you have to run by an actual law of the land.
Yes, I know.
But the thing is, that costs a lot of money. So
And
what
that's
ends
right.
up
And
happening is exactly what you said.
And you see, then also see if you can find a lawyer, a barrister, or a QC that will touch it.
To even take it on. Exactly right.
Right? I mean, look, at the end of the day, I'm not without choices and options. And, if they want to take away my livelihood, they can knock themselves out. But at the end of the day, I will not be I'm probably not the first one, and I probably won't be the last.
True. Sad, but true. Yeah.
But it's my client that I'm worried about. For me, I'll survive. I'll get by. It'll be fine. But it's my client who will not be okay.
That's horrible.
If they can take that right away from one client, they can do it for all of my clients.
Oh, yeah.
And it won't be just about vaccines. It'll be about other things as well.
Well, this is what I was going to bring up. Example, like we do a lot of cancer treatments at our clinic, and the amount of treatments that I learned once I started there that work really well for different cancers in different people, that it's not only doesn't happen in Australia, but it's actually illegal if you even try to do it. It's like, hold on for a second, man. Like, really? What do you mean illegal? I'm going to die, and I'm not even allowed to try something different.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
You catch COVID, but you can't have hydroxychloroquine. And by the way, do you remember Clive Palmer apparently donated millions and millions of doses of hydroxychloroquine to the Australian medical stockpile?
That's right. I remember that.
I messaged them twice to find out how many of those have been dispensed to people with COVID. No answer.
Oh, really?
Well, I think that's your number.
Stockpile for what? For people who are not infected with COVID? Is that what?
And ivermectin's running the same game at the moment too. They don't want to let that one out the bag because that's out of you can make that generic as well now.
That's right. Yeah. If I happen to catch any kind of COVID or COVID-like symptoms, I'll start drinking. Well, I do drink tonic water anyway, but I'll just stock up on tonic water.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Tonic
vitamin
water
D.
good.
What is it? Zinc.
I was going to say the vitamin D is the one that the stat that I saw is 85% of the hospitalised patients were low or excessively low vitamin D.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, vitamin D is like pretty much the main thing. And wasn't it? There was like heaps of black
zinc
people
as well.
dying. I was saying before. I take vitamin B, C, D, and zinc. That's what the doctors have been listening to have been telling me to take all that. Wasn't there like heaps of black people dying because they lack vitamin D?
you got to remember darker skins are evolved to repel more of the sunlight. So what actually happens is I don't absorb as much sunlight as you do.
Yeah, don't hold in the vitamin D like we do.
Spot on. Yeah.
Just talking about the pharmaceutical industry and how it wants you to basically buy their products and stay away from the natural remedies. I know I've seen and heard a lot about, vitamin supplements don't work. Well, I can tell you for an absolute fact, my daughter she's proven to me vitamin supplements absolutely do work. Of course, you've got to get reputable ones and,
Exactly right. That's the difference right there.
But she has
you got to look into it.
She's had many, many blood tests in recent times for all of her various health complications, and you can actually see the improvements. When she's taken the supplements and she's been on the regime, the improvements are noticeable.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Matilda, the amount of patients that we've had come to our clinic, we get them after they're on stage 4, sent home for palliative care. They're the patients that we end up getting. And the amount of them that live for years afterwards.
Yeah,
is incredible. And all we're doing is as natural treatment as possible.
Absolutely.
Now, at the end of the day, sometimes you do need chemical interventions, and that's fair enough.
I'm not anti-medicine. I really am not.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
I'll take a Nurofen and I'll take a Panadol when I'm sick. I will.
But you know what? Vitamin C is also medicine, and that's the difference.
Yeah, that's right.
But the thing is, I'll say this to you, right? A while back, I turned around to my mum because we were doing there's specific tests that you can get that you send overseas, and if you've got a specific type of cancer, the test results will come back to show you how well your body will respond to different types of medications. So as an example, you can come back and the graph will say that, this patient will respond really well to chemo. Well, do you know what? You send them to chemo then. But this patient will respond really well to THC. Well, you give them that. So, we were finding that a lot of our patients, right, were getting that thrown back in their faces from their oncologists when they went to see them. And it left me with a weird question because I thought to myself, well, if you depart from the principle that the doctors actually would like to help their patients, let's depart from the fact that humans try to be nice to each other and they actually want to help. And a test like that, that's reasonably easy to understand, why wouldn't they want to at least look at it?
That's right.
Right? And I thought, well, that doesn't make sense. So I turned around to my mum and asked that question. I go, well, why don't they even want to see it? Now, what she said to me was she goes, look, there's actually two reasons that's the case. I thought, all right, well, tell me. She goes, well, the first reason is that most of them don't even know what to do with it when they get that information. They don't know how to read a lot of this information when it comes through. And the reason I say that is, my mum's got 6 uni degrees, so she's not the average doctor out there reading scientific papers. She's constantly immersed in the science and in different factors. And so she said, basically they don't know what to do with that information when they get it. My response was, well, look, that's a fair enough response. However, if they actually want to help, they can learn. If they can see there's a benefit, what's stopping them from learning that new information?
Totally.
And she goes, well, look, that's a very good point. However, the second point is the main reason. And she goes, over 95% of the cancer protocol that oncologists have to follow was written by the pharmaceutical industry.
Of course.
So when you get something like that, as you were saying before, vitamin C is never going to be an accepted type of treatment. You know what I mean? And that's why now it made me understand why oncologists would do that, because at the end of the day, if you're given information that you can turn around and say, look, wow, if I do this for my patient, they may get a response that's better than what's normally going to get.
Yeah.
But the problem is the chances of that patient walking into your clinic and then dying are going to be greater than pretty much any other profession.
Yeah.
And then when that patient dies, the medical board comes back to you, well, you went off protocol.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's your reason.
Yeah.
And with that systemic problem, you're never going to find an answer. So
it's heads they win, tails you lose.
Yeah. And that's actually the reason that I decided to run for Parliament last year, is because I just saw that the problem is systemic. And unless you actually
What election did you run for?
The state elections in Queensland.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and a lot of people gave me a lot of flack for it because I ended up joining with One Nation, and they were the only party that were willing to listen to my point of view. It was like, all right. But yeah, I'm actually planning to go to, there's a massive rally up here tomorrow for mandatory vaccinations as well. I'm thinking of going up there, see what happens with that. So.
Fantastic.
And it's just like, I've always thought like, One Nation, oh shit. But then you see all the shit that bloody old mate Pauline's coming out with. It seems more logical than fucking anything that anyone else is saying.
I know.
Look, I was the same.
There are good people and there are good parties out there, but, it's just like, how do you break the two-party system,
Yeah, and look, and you know what? And that's exactly what I found. It's exactly that. And the biggest problem is, and again, a lot of my friends go, oh, why don't you just join Labor or Liberal? You have a better chance of getting in. And you're right, but the difference is I'll get in and be another clone. I can't express what I actually feel.
Or you end up being a George Christensen or a Craig Kelly and, you're on the outer. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. And that's exactly where I would be at.
Oh, you're both.
Probably further out.
Pluto.
Yep.
All right, guys, I've got to take off. I've got a show to get to, so it's been nice meeting you, Matilda.
Likewise, thank you, guys.
And thank you for sharing your story. It's been great.
I really appreciate the time, and if you have the time or the inclination to have me back, I've got some more developments with this. I'd love to share it with you.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch with
definitely.
you because we want to keep we got to support our mate Matilda on her battle with the fucking man.
Exactly. As we said before, we've got to work together on this.
In for a penny, in for a pound, but I'm not rolling over.
Yeah.
Good on you.
That's the spirit.
You're a legend.
Thank you, guys.
Nice meeting you.
Likewise.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Flatten the Herd. That was awesome. Matilda, we love you. Raphael, we love you. Tanner, we love you.
Cool, babe, we love you too, man.
Oh, I love myself.
All love.
All right,
group hug.
Get a little bit too lovey, I'm out.
Good luck tonight, Virgie.
Awesome, man. Cheers for that. Appreciate it.
I love you guys. See you.
Go get him.
Ciao.
Peace.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Bye.